So, as the title suggests, how much does it cost to be a collector? How much do these things cost? I first started collecting just probably what most people did, the smaller things, the plastic characters, things like from McFarlane and NECA, Mezco. Mezco and McFarlane and NECA used to do the 18-inch characters, and I used to pick those up from a local show at the NEC in Birmingham, more often than not anyway. And I didn't pay a lot for them, probably anything between £15 to £20. In fact, if you try and buy those on eBay now, you're probably going to pay about £80 now. So even those that I didn't pay a lot for all those years ago have now gone up probably 4 times the value of what I originally paid for them. I gave all mine away. But I moved away from that, and the first piece that I picked up, and I've mentioned this on other videos as well in the past, is the Arnold bust. And for me at the time, that was a lot of money to spend on a bust. Now compare that to what the busts are costing today. I look back now and think actually that was quite cheap. But I picked Arnold up probably in around about 2005, and I had it off a company in the UK called play.com, and I think he was about £380. That's it, £380. Now bear in mind that this is the time when the exchange rate was good for people in the UK. I mean, at the moment it's not so good because we've exited the European Union, so the exchange rate is not so great at the moment, so it's harder to collect, but also the prices have gone up anyway. So some of you thinking, you paid only £380 for that? Yeah, I only paid £380 for that. That was going back over 10 years ago, remember. And at the time that was a lot for me, but I thought he was so good then I knew from that point that I was going to continue to collect. And I started to collect premium formats. I got into the premium formats and various other busts. I mean, going back then, sort of between that slot, between 2005, 2007, 2008, I was probably paying for premium formats anything between about £150 and maybe about £250, £260. That was all I used to pay on the premium formats. Not a huge amount when you consider how much they are now when you want to buy a premium format. So it was a pretty good deal in those days. Obviously as time goes on and you sort of I suppose you could say you sort of climatise yourself to spending more. At the time when I originally had Arnold, that was difficult for me to purchase, but after you've done it once you get used to it, and you get more, I suppose, more comfortable with spending more on each purchase, and that was how it went. And that was why I went from Arnold up to this kind of thing from Prime 1, the Wolf bust, which if my gimbal will come round, probably not going to, but yeah. So you move on to things like this, and then you've got these, which was kind of like an intermediate period for me. So from spending £380 on a bust, and then I'm spending £700 or £800 on a bust, and then I think at the time, going back a few years ago, one of my most expensive busts was the Darth Vader bust, and I had that on order from Forbidden Planet. Is my camera going to lock on? Yeah. From Forbidden Planet, and I think I paid about £970, something like that at the time. And then I did purchase other ones then, obviously, with the Underworld Lycan bust. So that was, you know, that kind of bust, you're moving towards almost £2,000 on that one. But you don't have to spend a huge amount to get a nice collectible, and I've picked up some nice stuff in this room, and I haven't paid a huge amount even in recent times as well. So I mean, for example, I've picked up a couple of things from the Wand company, and probably paid about £120, something like that for those. Just get a lock again. About £120 on those, and they're nice things. So if you don't know the one company that they produce, that they've been producing recently, the past couple of years, some Star Trek collectibles, and I've picked up the 2 Star Trek collectibles, which was the phaser, the hand phaser from the original series, and the communicator from the original series. I've never reviewed those, but they don't cost a lot, and the quality, in my opinion, is just as good as Master Replicas or EFX. So it's pretty nice stuff, and I think it also always comes down to how you display them. If you've just got something that you've picked up, you only paid £100 for, and you just if you pop it on a shelf and that's it, then it does look a little bit lost. Whereas if you present it more, I mean, I tend to make custom bases for most of my products that haven't got any form of display. So, and if you do that, you can make something that looks £80, £100 look something more like £400 or £500 if you display it right. And a lot of collectors will know that. And as you can see in my collection, I've probably invested a similar amount of money in the glass cabinets as compared as well as the actual items that are in the cabinet. So I've probably spent probably about £4,000 on the cabinets themselves in this room to house everything. And I always went with glass because I wanted to be able to see the wall at the back of the characters, so it didn't look too heavy. Whereas if you have wooden shelving, then it blocks more light and you can't see the back wall. And I like the idea that the glass is more open. So that's the reason why I've always gone with the glass cabinets. But collecting can be as expensive as you want it to be. Yes, I mean I've spent. I have no idea how much I've spent, but many thousands of pounds have been invested into this room, and I'm really pleased with what I've got and the collection I've got. It's predominantly in this room. I've tried, as I mentioned in previous videos, I always wanted to keep it contained into one room. So this is just a bedroom that I put it in as a spare bedroom. And I have started on another room, and I wish I hadn't got to start on another room, but I have started on one side of a room in another spare bedroom that I've got. And that's for an ECC Cinemaquette Hulk that I picked up a couple of months ago. So I want to put that on a display. At the moment it doesn't look particularly good because it's just on a wooden cupboard, and the cupboard is too small. The problem I've got is that the Hulk itself, the base of the Hulk, is 80 centimeters deep. So I'm just trying to work out how I'm going to get a cabinet that's big enough to take that. Now I don't mind having a cabinet that's around about 700. I don't mind having a little bit of an overhang. I mean, if you look at the Prime 1, and this is overhanging the cabinet a little bit because anyone who knows Prime 1 knows that they have massive bases. I think it's more to do with giving it a bigger base to simply give it more height, to be honest with you, so they can state on the specifications that it's this tall. But in reality, I mean, if you take away that base and put it on a regular inch base or something like that, he's not as tall as he seems. But obviously with Prime 1 you've got a 4-inch base there, 4.5 inch base, so it makes it appear bigger, even though it is a big piece anyway. But Prime 1 always like to make their huge bases to make them look bigger than what they really are. I've wandered off track a little bit here, hasn't I? What I was discussing was prices on these collectibles. So yeah, I mean, going back then, I was spending low hundreds of pounds on the premium formats. And I mean, I remember there's times where some of the perhaps probably less popular busts at the time, things like the Frankenstein bust from Sideshow Collectibles, the first one from Bride of Frankenstein, and the Bela Lugosi Dracula bust. I can't think what that piece was called now. And the Nosferatu bust as well. I mean, those at the time were going for like £200. I remember one bust, and I think it was a Dracula bust, the Bela Lugosi Dracula bust, and I think that was something. It was the price of a cheap premium format. It was like about £150. And if you want that on eBay now, obviously it's not accumulated as much cost as some of the more popular ones, but even so, if you want the Bela Lugosi bust, then I'd imagine that you're looking mid to high hundreds on that piece. So even that piece, which at the time wasn't that popular, has now accumulated pace and has now become reasonably valuable. I found that over the years that some pieces haven't moved a huge amount. One of them is I've got the endo skull that you can just about see in shot just there. He hasn't moved a huge amount. In fact, if anything, he's gone down in price, because I remember they did two versions of that. They did the clean version and they did the combat version. I've got the combat version. The polished one was more popular, but I think even that one now, and certainly the combat one, have dropped in value compared to what they were probably about 6 or 7 years ago, when initially they kind of had sold out and then the prices had gone up a little bit, but now the prices have come back down again. And pretty much you can pick up that bust for similar to what you would have paid for it when new sometimes. I only paid probably about £270 for that when I originally picked that up, and I'd imagine that I would only get a similar amount. Maybe if I'm lucky a little bit more, £300, £350, but I wouldn't get a huge amount above that. It's strange how some things gain more pace on value compared to others. If you look at the Lycan bust, which you might be able to get in shot here, the Lycan bust here, I mean, when he was originally on pre-order in the UK, I think he was round about £850, and within a couple of months of it selling out, everyone realised that it was a really nice piece. It became really popular, and this thing shot up in value, and these were going for £1,500, £1,800, £2,000 on eBay, literally a couple of 3 months after being sold out. I picked this one up probably about 10 months or a year after it had been released, and I paid in that kind of region. So I'm kicking myself now that I didn't buy it when it was originally on pre-order, and I would have saved a hell of a lot of money on that. But this is the way collecting is. You just don't know which way it's going to go sometimes, and some pieces are more popular than others. I think the Predators are normally a safe bet. So you things like your Predator bust that you can see there. Let me just get camera lock again. So you've got the Predator, and that one does okay on eBay. I think it depends on your luck really as to how much you pay for this, but you could be looking anything between £1,400 and £2,000, maybe a little bit more if the market is busier and more. You know, if there's going to be a new film out, a new Predator film, then you'll probably pick up pace a little bit and be a bit more valuable. Another piece that went up in value and is quite sought after is the Aliens. What do you call him? Aliens. I forgot that one. It's the alien figure anyway. Warrior, the alien warrior. So I paid probably about £580 for that maquette, and at the time I thought that was quite expensive, but if you want to pick that up now, then you're probably looking about £1,500 now. So it's gone up a lot, and you may even pay more than that. If you look at the Alien Queen facehugger, that was another one that in recent years has picked up pace. I remember ordering that from play.com, and it came on it came on pre-order unusually cheap. I think it was let's see, it would have been, I think it came up for about £420, and not soon after I ordered it, the order was automatically cancelled by play.com, and they said, sorry, we've put it out for the wrong price, but if you want to order it again, you can, but it will be at the higher price. And I pre-ordered it again. I think they put the price up from what it was, £420, to about £470, £480, and I pre-ordered it again because it seemed like a good deal. It's quite a sizable piece. It's not a small piece. The actual base is probably near 550, 600 millimeters in depth, and obviously it's got a reasonable amount of height. But it's a really nice piece. But now these, you can quite easily pay £2,000 for these pieces now. So that was a nice return on that one. I mean, as I've said before, I don't buy these to just sell them on a few years later. I buy these, it's for me. The collection is for me. It's not for me to buy and sell on. If I had got the expendable cash, I would love to maybe buy 3 of those or 4 of those, keep one for myself, stick the rest in the loft for 6 or 7 years and sell them on later on and make a good profit. Unfortunately, I haven't got that expendable cash to do that. But yeah, the prime one, I think he was up on direct collectibles for about £2,000. I think I paid a little bit less for that because it was at the time when they had a 10% off. I think after Christmas they tend to do a 10% off deal. Plus I got some points saved as well. So I think I probably spent about £1,700 on the prime one. I don't really know how much he's gone up to be fair. I suppose you could say he's sort of a newish piece. Sorry, my tracking is not wanting to play ball at the moment. I would imagine if you wanted to buy him now, the original one, you'd probably pay between £2,000 and £2,500 for that piece. You've got in a cabinet down here, which you can't see unless the camera will track me. But in this one, you can probably just see the front end of the speeder from Return of the Jedi. Everybody loves this piece. I remember that it came on offer at play.com, and I remember at the time I was on holiday in Florida at the time, and it came up on offer for £399. It was down from £499 or £550 or something. And I bought it. I placed the order while I was on holiday, had it delivered to work, and I've never looked back. That is one of the best premium formats that have, well, one of the best premium formats that has ever been released. I love the speeder. I will never part with the speeder. But as far as worth goes, again, I mean, on eBay, it varies a lot. It depends on your luck, really. You might be able to pick one up for around about £1,400, but other than that, again, you might be looking nearer to £2,000 on the speeder bike. Other things I've got, I'm never too sure about some of these. So I've got the, sorry, I've lost tracking again. So I've got the Fred Barton bust down here. So this is the first edition one from Fred Barton, not from Sideshow Collectibles, and I think I paid about, I think it was about £850 that I paid for him. The only thing that caught me out afterwards was the shipping. The shipping on this that Fred Barton charged, which I can understand. He wanted it to arrive in one piece, and he wanted to have extra insurance and everything on these. But I think it was in the region of about £300 I paid on shipping on this. So this turned out being a very expensive bust. With all the shipping, I was looking at £1,200 or £1,300. As far as worth goes, you know, I really wouldn't have a clue, because it's not very often that these are up on eBay. But I would imagine anything between maybe £1,500, £2,000, that kind of region. He's a fragile piece. He's not particularly heavy, and you do have to be careful with him. He's reasonably well finished. I think if you go around the back, as I mentioned in my review, if you look back at the review, and I think Fred could have made a bit more effort on the back of the bust. Let's get tracking again. But on the whole, and in particular, if you put him under lights as well, like I have under here, and he does look really good. But again, it's another one that I'm not really sure on as far as value goes. I've got I've dabbled in cinemaquettes, so I've got a Superman here, which I paid. How much should I pay for this? Trying to think how much I paid for this now. I can't remember if it was £1,200 or £1,500 that I paid for Superman. He's another one that's kind of been a little bit slow with cinemaquette. So for a long time he pretty much stayed stationary on price and didn't really move much. I think in the past couple of years he may have gone up a little bit more now. So you might be looking around about £2,000 or just over for the Superman cinemaquette. What else have I got? So I've got a C3PO bust, which, tell you what, let me bring the whole thing round so you can see. Let's go this way. So C3PO, I think I would have paid around about £500 for C3PO or just under. Again, it's something that you don't see a lot of on eBay again. So value wise, I don't know, maybe around about £1,000, could be a little bit more. There's two versions. That was the first edition. And he's relatively clean, to be fair, but they released a later version, which was the completely clean version of that. But to be honest with you, there wasn't a huge amount of difference in them. I preferred this one anyway, and he's fairly clean anyway. He's got the restraining bolt. I don't think the other one had got the restraining bolt. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that the other one hadn't got the restraining bolt. But it's Star Wars, so anything Star Wars I love. You know, I haven't got any problem with Star Wars stuff, and I'll probably hang on to any Star Wars stuff. It's always difficult when you're doing it back to front. The Iron Man bust, that's the first edition. That's the, well, say first edition. It's the Mark III. It was the first one of the red ones that was released from Sideshow. Lighting's a bit rubbish in here. And well, most of you will know the story about that one. It wasn't finished particularly well. That was the second one that I had because I wasn't happy with the quality of the first one, and even the second one wasn't great. But value wise, I don't really know. That one may be anything between £800 to £1,200. I don't think he's gained a huge amount of pace, and to be fair, because the quality of that one wasn't as good as some of the later ones, he's maybe not quite as popular, even though he is the original one from the first movie. It's just a shame that the finishing wasn't that great, mainly the paint or lack of it in places. What else have I got? I've never really thought that I've got a huge amount of a collection, to be honest with you, compared to other collectors. I've got a modest collection, which I'm happy with. So if tracking will follow me. So I've got the Hulk maquette. Now this one was really popular when it was first announced, and everybody wanted this. It was obviously a big piece, and I just jumped on it. And I think the price was pretty good as well. I think it was about £530, I think, something like that. So for a size of maquette like this, it was a pretty good deal, and I love this piece. My plan was, when I had the ECC Hulk maquette in 3rd scale, which is actually in the other room, I was going to get rid of him, but I just couldn't part with him. Even though I've had the other one, I still love this maquette. It's a great maquette. It's another one that probably hasn't gained a huge amount in value. It was initially an unlimited quantity of units, although they have stopped making them now. As far as value wise, I would imagine that you'll be paying less than £1,000, probably somewhere between the initial sale price for us in the UK, which would have been about 500 and something pounds. I would suggest that you pay around about £500 to £800 now if you wanted that off eBay. But again, it depends on the look of the drawer. Sometimes they can go a lot more than that. Sometimes you might get something a little bit less than that. I've also got prop replicas. So as well as collecting the busts and the statues, I've always had an interest in the prop replicas, simply because with the prop replicas you can pick them up and you can handle them. You aren't really going to do that with a premium format or a cinemaquette or a bust. So I like the idea of the prop replicas with the lightsabers and the I've got a tricorder, I've got a Men in Black. See if I can show you. Yee. Whoa! Easy. Okay, stay. Track. This way. Track. Okay. So what I've got in this cabinet, I've got a Star Trek phaser from yeah, it's off one of the films. I've got a tricorder, which is the Brent Spiner signed version, and then I've got a signed Patrick Stewart boomerang phaser. And then, as you can see in the top cabinet, I've got a Men in Black neuralizer. That's the first edition from Master Replicas. You can get that now from Factory Entertainment. I think that they've still got some left, but that one is the Master Replicas version. You've then got the Luke Reveal lightsaber, and then at the back there you've got a Rebel Trooper blaster. So all beautiful pieces. Haven't really let go of any of the prop replicas, although I've let go of a couple of premium formats and a bust and a couple of small 6 scale figures from Hot Toys over the years. The prop replicas I've never parted with. Let me just bring the height down on this a little bit. Yeah, you'll have to excuse me, I'm doing this all on my own, so it's not ideal, but I'm doing my best. So then, I've got a few pieces in here. You've got the Speeder. He was a pretty good deal. He came up on eBay for about £550. This was going back about 5 or 6 years ago. And I said to the guy on eBay, I says, look, I'll come and collect. You're not far from me, I'll give you £400 cash and I'll come and collect. And to my surprise, he says, yep, okay, let's do it. So I went over, picked it up. This thing was brand new, completely boxed. It was from a shop, which was in Stowbridge, something like that. I forget exactly where it was now, but it was a steal, fantastic piece. If you want to get this now, then you would have to pay a hell of a lot more. Let me just get tracked in again. You would have to pay a hell of a lot more. I mean, again, it's one of those pieces that it's not really seen on eBay much, and it's quite rare when it comes up. So price wise, I think you'd be looking around about, I would say anything between £1,000 and £1,600 for something like that if you want one. I've got another Master Replicas sidearm, which was from EFX. Really nice piece. Again, it's one that you don't see much of. This is Factory Entertainment, not EFX, sorry. Factory Entertainment. I think I paid about 500-ish pounds. Again, I really wouldn't have a clue how much this would actually go for now. Maybe £700 or £800. I'm not sure. It would have gained a huge amount of value. Men in Black, I've found, even though there's been a few prop replicas from Men in Black, the value of them hasn't really gone up a huge amount. Well, not a huge amount. It's got some value to it from when they were initially released, but not as much as other movie franchises. At the back, which you're probably not going to see, but right at the back there, I've got an Elite Han Solo blaster. That was one that was initially had a slow start because everyone preferred the other version, the dirty version. That one is the clean version, which is classed as the Elite version. So it's clean, it's not got any battle damage, and the other thing with this is that it's got a real wood handle. So, but since then, I mean, now if you want to get that on eBay, you would definitely be looking at above £1,200 to get one of those. You could be looking even as much as £1,500 to get that piece. And I've got a few lightsabers off Master Replicas, which I didn't pay a huge amount for on some of these. The Count Dooku, I think I probably paid about £260, £270 for. It was the non-display version, so anyone who knows Master Replicas, they did sometimes multiple lightsabers. You would have maybe that one that came in a case with the case and everything, and then you had this version which it just came in a presentation box. So that was what this was. It just came in a presentation box, so you haven't really got anything to display it on, which is not a problem because I've made a lot of my own bases anyway. So I've basically built, because I've got access to machinery at work, I was able to design and fabricate my own display bases, and that comes down to what I was saying previously as well, is that if you display something well, it can look a lot more valuable than what it really is. And if you put these on a nice display base, they look really nice. So those are my prop replicas. Just bring this back up a little bit. See if I can get lock. I lost lock. Lock. Yeah. No. There you go. So that gives you an indication of some of the prices that you can pay with these. Darth Vader Cinemaquette. I think I paid about £1,500 for that. Lovely piece. Again, it's one that I would never part with. As far as value goes on that, I'm guessing that would be above 2,000. I think because of the interest in the new Star Wars films now, value on Darth has gone up again in value. So yeah, above 2,000. The bust in the background, that's the first edition Sideshow bust that Sideshow did about 6 years ago. In fact, no, I had that at the other house, didn't I? So that was probably from about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, possibly even. And it looks very similar to the new release that Sideshow did about a year ago. The only difference is though is that it's not got the head that goes inside, and I don't think that the new one comes apart. So whereas this one you can take off the helmet, you can see the mask underneath, and then you can take off the mask, you can see inside the helmet, and you also have a facial sculpt of the actor that you can place inside. So it was a pretty good deal, to be fair. I mean, if I think about it now, at the time it seemed like a lot of money, and I was spending almost £1,000 on that. But when you consider how much it's got, it's not bad value at all. You can literally strip away everything and see inside and see the helmet. It's, yeah, pretty good. The only thing that annoyed me a little bit is that I did an exclusive version where they gave you a stand for when if you got the facial sculpt in there, you couldn't put the mask and the head over it. It wouldn't fit. So to actually get over this on the exclusive version, they gave you an extra stand that you could place the mask on and the helmet on and display that next to the bust. I didn't really agree with that because at that time it was an expensive bust, and I think that all of them should have had that stand by default, but it was never like that. So, but anyway, I mean, everyone sees Darth Vader like this. It was only in that one scene, really, or a couple of instances, where you see the original actor underneath. But apart from that, that's Darth Vader with the helmet on. So that's the way I display him. That's it. I mean, I've got some track. I've got some premium formats down here. Tusken Raider. A couple of Darth Mauls. Got the Darth Maul with mechanical legs at the back, and then you've got the original Darth Maul there as well. So I didn't pay a huge amount for those. So the original Darth Maul was probably about £230. I haven't got a clue how much he's worth now. I'd imagine he hasn't gained a huge amount in value. That one, you might get £350, £400. Might be able to pick one up for. I think the one with mechanical legs has actually gone up possibly a little bit more than the first version. The Tusken Raider, again, I don't know what it is, but the premium formats, a lot of them don't gain as much value as compared to other items. Some do. I mean, as an example, if I just turn around, so if you look at Lara Croft here, and I had Lara Croft at a silly price. It was an absolute ridiculously silly price. I only paid £99 for Lara Croft. But if you want to buy Lara Croft now, she goes for a reasonable amount of value. You'd be looking probably over £400 for that. And I've seen them go for above £500 on a good day. So that's a pretty good return on Lara Croft, and she's a sexy piece as well. So I'm pretty chuffed that I've got hold of that one. But that just gives you a rough idea of costs, really, and what I've spent. I mean, although I haven't showed you everything in this room, you know, I've invested a lot of money into this, and a lot in the cabinets as well. And I've got more in the other room with the Hulk DCC cinema maquette. And I still don't have anywhere to display the Back to the Future DeLorean, and I've also got a tumbler, the camo tumbler, which at the moment I haven't got anywhere to display. But that's why I'm trying to sort out that room. So after I've sorted out that room, I'm not going to convert the whole room. It's just going to be the one end of the room that I'm just going to have a little display area for the Hulk and maybe a cabinet underneath for the cars. But apart from that, that's it. So that gives you an idea of costs and what I paid for some of these, and what the possible value of some of these things are now. And that's it. Sorry about the video quality, and this tracking's a bit slow. So I've got one of these gimbals that tracks your movement, which is quite handy for me. So because it's only me that films. So. But that's it. Okay, thanks guys. I hope you find this video entertaining or interesting, maybe informative. And if you want to drop any comments down below and tell me what you think. Cheers guys.